Hello friends, my name is Charmaine and welcome to my channel, Witch Isle. Today I want to talk about something that I do often when there's an issue that makes my emotions peak. It's called a self-compassion break. Now, self-compassion was something I did not know how to practice before I entered therapy. I've been in therapy for a long time, and this was something that I didn't think was going to help in the beginning, and most of the times, the only time I tried any skills was to prove to the therapist that they wouldn't work for me, only to find out that they worked. It's a cruel, cruel irony. Since it does work, I think this is a great time to share what a self compassion break looks like, seeing how I needed a lot of them lately. May 4th, I was struggling with the VA. And I find that funny because there was a time I didn't struggle with the VA at all, and now it seems like it is always a problem for me here. First thing I'm going to do is run through what a self compassion break looks like. First of all, let me tell you what self compassion is. Self compassion is responding to our own suffering in the caring way we would respond to a dear friend or a child who is struggling. So now put that in your mind. If you suffer from trauma, this is probably the easiest way to see self compassion because it's not our go to. There are 3 stages to a self compassion break. The first is mindfulness, the second is common humanity, and the third is kindness. Once you do this a couple times, it's really easy to do. But getting started is hard, especially if you don't know how to be self compassionate. So, to take this break, you're going to take a couple of deep breaths and really settle into your body. Bring to mind the struggle or the situation that is causing you stress. Pick something that's mild to moderate stress in the beginning because this might be very difficult to do. So, do an easy self compassion break. Don't start with the hard stuff. When you bring the situation to your mind and make it present for you, what does it feel like and where do you feel it in your body? That's just something to notice. If you don't notice it, you'll never know it's there. Now, with the difficulty present in your mind, say to yourself slowly, this is a moment of struggle. Recognizing a struggle while you're struggling is very validating to the experience. Once you tell yourself that you're struggling, talk a little bit more about it. I'm going to give you an example in a minute. The second part of a self-compassion break is saying to yourself, struggle is a part of life. The second part of a self-compassion break is telling yourself that struggling is a part of life. You can break this down by saying a multitude of different thoughts on that, such as I'm not alone, we all struggle in our lives, or even this is what it feels like when a person struggles. The third part of the self-compassion break is offering yourself some gentle touch or a soothing gesture. And try saying to yourself, may I be kind to myself. May I give myself what I need. I'm going to break down what a self-compassion break looked like for me just last month. This was on May 4th, and I had just spent probably a couple days trying to get information from the VA. Now, if you are a veteran, you might understand the struggle with the VA. So, I'm going to read to you what my self compassion break looked like in that moment that I was really struggling with the VA. And I wrote all this down so that I could come back to it later for this channel's purpose. So, the situation causing stress in my life was VA, using community care and not being able to figure out travel, and phone numbers not working when I call them. When I was feeling this problem, it was in my shoulders heavy. It was heavy on my heart. My head felt tight and my eyes were just tearing up. So here's where I took my first part of the self compassion. In this moment, I told myself, this is a lot of frustration. It feels as though no one cares that it hurts. This is a moment of struggle. The second part of self compassion in this situation, other people struggle like this with the VA. I am not alone in my struggling. Struggle is a part of life. And the third part of self compassion, I hug myself, feel my arms around me. May I be patient with myself as I learn this new system, and may I forgive myself for having wrong assumptions to begin with. May I be kind to myself. May I give myself what I need. And in that moment, hugging myself, telling myself those things. And no, those things did not come to me naturally. That was after being on the phone for hours and having somebody tell me, oh, I just moved here too, and the VA is not the same. It really validated my experience, but I would have not gotten that validation had I not reached out. This self-compassion break that I took afterwards helped me validate my own feelings in the situation. And from here, I was able to try to move on and troubleshoot what I was going to do next. But I needed that break to tell myself that it was okay. Sometimes in the midst of struggle, my emotions take over and they can run away for a long time, and having me feel down and these feelings in particular, as if no one cares, these feelings brought me back to my childhood when I felt like nobody cared, which is why it triggered me so hard in my emotions. I can say after a lot of trauma work, it was a lot easier to do this self-compassion break. In the beginning, I don't think I'd have been able to use the VA or this situation as a self-compassion break because I would have been too emotionally topped out. But where I am in my recovery now, it was a little easier to get in touch with this particular skill, use it, and apply it to the situation. A month later, I'm still struggling with the same travel issues, and I am doing my best to contact the right people to help me sort them out. The problem is that this is a brand new system to me, and I was expecting what happened where I used to live to happen, and the VA is not the same out here, and I have to just realize, accept it, and start trying to figure out how to use the VA in the way that is going to get my needs met the most effectively. I encourage you to try to use a self-compassion break here or there. Now, if you're new to it and you're new to your trauma recovery, remember to pick something easy. Pick something that doesn't top you out on emotion, just something that mildly frustrates you. And work from there, because you want to build success with this. And sometimes when our emotions are too big, it is very hard to have self-compassion when we're very used to beating ourselves up. Changing your thoughts and developing healthy habits is not an easy thing to do when you've lived a lifetime of survival. And if you are struggling really hard and a self-compassion break is too far out of your realm to help, remember that there is a national crisis hotline out there. The National Crisis Hotline can be reached at 988. If you are struggling, please reach out for help. Please don't pick a permanent solution for a temporary problem. Reach out and call 988. As always, take what resonates and leave the rest. And until next time, light and love.